Biscuits! We making biscuits. Not just any biscuit, making buttermilk jalapeno cheddar biscuits. So what we're gonna do is start off with some flour. We're using 2 cups of flour. This is how you properly measure flour. I always keep a smaller spoon inside of my flour bin to scoop into my measuring cups. Now, why do I do that? Because if I scoop this 1 cup into my flour, it's not always leveled and it's not always even. So I can ensure that it's even by scooping it in and then giving it a shake. Scoop, shake, all right? And I'm gonna give you the last S. Scoop, the 3 S's, remember this. Scoop, shake, and here's the last one. Scrape, easy, all right? 2 cups, we're gonna scoop, doom, 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 doom. We're gonna shake. I wish they gave me a bigger spoon. Okay? Our last scoop, a shake. Don't worry if it gets messy. A scrape. Done. That goes in there. All right. Our buttermilk biscuits need some leavening agent so that it rises up inside of the oven. We're going to use 1 tablespoon. Same idea here. Level it off. That's not a tablespoon. This is a tablespoon, perfectly scraped. Yes? Yes. Perfect. So we just need 1. We're gonna use some sugar. I'm gonna use 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. I make these biscuits a lot. These days, recently, I've been making them all the time. And you know, I usually just do it as plain buttermilk biscuits, but I think it's cool to just throw in stuff that you like. So, you know, I'm gonna have my nice add-ins today and I'll show you what those are. We're gonna do a teaspoon of salt. Now what I'm doing is I'm mixing all my dry ingredients. Technically, sugar is a wet ingredient, but because it dissolves, but today we're gonna use it in our dry. We're gonna get a whisk, or a knot, or a fork, and we're gonna give it a mix. I think that's everything. We've got our butter, we've got our flour, we've got our salt, and our sugar. It's pretty much everything. All of your dry. Cool, so that's our dry. Now to these dry ingredients, we're gonna add some butter. I'm using a cold, unsalted butter, and it's really important that you use unsalted butter because we've already added salt and you control the salt that way, but also because when it's cold and you add it into your product, it's gonna make for a nice, tender biscuit. Once it hits that hot heat, it just starts to nice and evenly melt. So we're just using a fork. You could do this in a food processor. Growing up, we didn't have a food processor and my dad just did it with his hands. But if you use your hands a lot, it'll create a lot more heat. It'll melt the butter. So you don't want to touch the dough too much. You want to keep it somewhat pliable, but not too much heat. Keep that butter cold. You want your butter to go from a cube to basically flattened out like that, okay? It's very important that you do that so that you have nice tender biscuits. So, that looks good. So what we're gonna do is add in our mix-ins. I'm using 2 jalapenos because I love the spice of a jalapeno. We're not gonna add the seeds because the seeds is really where all the heat lives. We're just gonna cut it in half, cut our tips, and with the tip of our knife, just remove those seeds, discard it, again remove those seeds. So you could use a Fresno chili, you could do this with a jalapeno like we're doing today, Scotch bonnet. Ooh, I have a recipe for Scotch bonnet jelly. That was so good. That would be really cool on these. Just cut them into strips. Very thin strips. I like putting skin side down because it allows my knife to run through the pepper more easily. Nice. Once you get your strips, turn around the other way and just rock out some small dice. All right, jalapenos look good. I'm gonna transfer that in. Beautiful. We're gonna add in our bacon. So I've got some cooked bacon up here and we're doing a 1/4 cup. We've cooked it up in our oven until it got nice and crisp, let it cool, and then we cut it up into cubes. And we also got some cheddar cheese. Looks great. With our fork, just combine it all very nicely. Look at that. That looks good. Now what we're gonna do is add in our cold buttermilk. We're using a full fat buttermilk. A low fat buttermilk works fine too. Those are widely sold in grocery stores. Just add all of that in and give it a mix until this starts to form a dough. So that's formed a beautiful dough. It basically starts to remove from the edge of the bowl. So now we're gonna have some bench flour. This is our bench. Sprinkle it down. Throw on your biscuit mixture. Clear that. And we're gonna form this into one big circle. This is a quick dough. We're not chilling it or letting it rest. It literally goes from here into a hot oven to be baked. So, a little bit of flour on top, not a whole lot. Again, you want a nice and tender biscuit. And just roll it out into a, I guess this is like 6-inch diameter round, and you want it to be about a 1/2 inch thick all around. Make sure it's even. And I'm going to use a cookie cutter. I've got some trays over here. I'm gonna use a cookie cutter. I'm using a small one. See this small, very small? I can see you. Did I get flour on my face? Anyway, I'm using this small cookie cutter to cut out my biscuits. So dip that in flour so that it easily comes out of your biscuit cutter, all right? And crank these out. You still rolling? After you've cranked out your biscuits, just keep that remaining dough. Don't throw it in the garbage. That would be a waste. And you want to just form it with your hands very lightly into a smaller dough. And you can just press it at this point. You can use your rolling pin if that helps you to make it nice and even. And just do the same thing. Repeat. Now, a lot of people like to press into the dough and then twist it. Now what happens is that if you do that, it's going to curve the sides of your biscuit and it won't rise and poof in the oven. So try not to do that. You just wanna press and like shake that way. Don't turn and twist and all that other stuff. You know who you are. All right, so we got one last biscuit. Give it a cut. Your bench scraper. I know that's very irritating for those of you watching with headphones. Sorry. We're gonna bring over 2 half sheet pans. I'll show you one at a time. I'm gonna place them on our 1/4 sheet pan. You could do 4x4. Just try to get them all on there. Set that in the front. Crank out the next. We making biscuits. We making biscuits. Cool. All right. So these are ready to go. Before we put this into our oven, we're gonna add some clarified butter on top. The way you make clarified butter is simply by melting butter in a saucepan or sauce pot, just over medium heat until the butter begins to melt. And then what will happen is that those milk solids will begin to rise to the top of the butter. When you shut your heat off, move it off of the heat, and with your slotted spoon, you remove those white milk solids. I have a little bit in here because I made this today. These are those milk solids, but you would lift that with a spoon and you're left with this beautiful, delicious, golden flavored caramel clarified butter. It's clarified. All right, those look awesome. They're gonna go into an oven that I've preheated at 425 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes, just until they're nice and golden brown on top. Here's one. Look at that. And here's our other. Biscuits. We're going to actually put some clarified butter on top. The other reason why we're using clarified butter is that it has a higher smoking point than regular butter. The milk solids will burn. All right, that looks good. We're gonna transfer these over, hot biscuits, to our serving platter. My hands are built of steel. Cool. That looks good. There we have it. Beautiful buttermilk biscuits with jalapeno, cheddar, and bacon. All right, I'm gonna give these a try. Gotta find a pretty perfect one. Looks good. Okay, like, ooh. Oh yeah. Super flavorful. I love that I can taste that salty bacon. It's nice and crunchy. And the jalapeno is just working perfectly in there with a little bit of heat, not too overpowering. And did I mention that they're tender? Really, really tender because we didn't overwork our dough. It's just perfect. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Son of a Southern Chef. Make sure you subscribe, like it, comment, tell me what you want to see. We'll make it happen. See you later. Yo, have you subscribed to my YouTube channel? You should, because it's mad easy. Just click on that button over there. Click it. Go ahead. Thanks.